Hey guys, it is finally time for my June book reviews. So strap in because this month we have 8 whole books to talk about in one video. Let's go. First up in June, I read Unspoken by Sarah Reese Brennan, and I did a full video review. So if you want to hear my full thoughts on this book, you can click up there. As you know, if you watched my video already, this is the first book in a trilogy about a girl, Cammy Glass, who has always had a voice in her head, an imaginary friend, if you will. And then she finds out that he is not imaginary. He is part of the Lindburn family, who has just came back to the town that they founded. I loved this book and gave it 4 out of 5 stars, 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a really solid start to the series. And then I read Ghost World by Daniel Close, something like that. And this is a graphic novel. There is a movie based on this which I have not seen, and I think I probably would have enjoyed it more if I had seen the movie. Although I am really glad that I did not read this book at a younger age, because although it is inappropriate, they talk about sexual things and there's lots of swearing, but that's not why. It's because of the plot and the character. This is about 2 girls who are not like other girls. They dye their hair, they listen to underground music, they hate everything that's mainstream. And when I was younger, I was so into that, and I would have latched on to this novel and not dug any deeper into it. I would have just taken it at surface level. But this probably was commentary on those types of people, and we were supposed to find them annoying, and we were supposed to see it in a way, but I don't think it was well done. The author inserted himself into this book as like this gross comic book writer who kind of hits on these girls, and I didn't like it. I think the author was trying to poke fun at these pretentious people, but I think he is one of them. But overall, I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I really don't know what to think about it. If any of you have read this graphic novel and want to try to explain to me why it's a thing, that would be really great. Is it just a thing because of all the younger me's out there who would have latched onto these characters and been like, yes, I am not like other girls, I am better than them, I am better than everyone? Or is it a commentary on these type of people? I don't know. And then I read Batwoman Volume 2, To Drown the World by J.H. Williams. As you guys know, I do like this series a lot. I like Batwoman, I like the plot that we're doing with the ghosts and the supernatural elements. However, I felt like this volume didn't have a lot of stuff going on. It was very boring. The only thing that happened in this volume was one battle, and there was only one moment where my mind actually had to work and I actually had to think, and it wasn't just this mindless, yeah, this is happening, I don't care, da-da-da-da-da, let's get to the actual story. There was only one moment where I was like, oh, and that only happened when we found out that there's a sentient Hook that was controlling this guy that the Hook was attached to. He had a hook for a hand, and he was evil, but apparently it was just the Hook. The Hook was talking to him. That was the only time where I'm like, whoa there! That's kinda cool. What's going on? But I do really like Kata's character, and I will be continuing on. I won't be buying the rest of this series. I own Volume 1, and then I got Volume 2 from the library, and I'll keeping up with it at the library. And I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. And then I read Empress of the World by Sarah Ryan. This is about a young girl called Nicola who goes off to the summer program for gifted youth, which is just a smart kid summer camp, and they take classes and there's dorms, and it sounds pretty cool actually. And immediately she finds this group of friends. She meets Katrina, this really kind of awesome computer programmer she's a really great character. And Isaac, who is just the sweetest guy whose parents are going through a divorce. Kevin, this kind of lone wolf music composer. And Battle. Battle is beautiful and blonde and a dancer, and of course Nicola starts to question her feelings for Battle. Nicola then starts to get kind of this obsessive little crush on Battle, and they start to become more than friends. Now, this was a book that I needed to read in middle school. It isn't necessarily middle grade. There are diary entries from Nicola. They sound really young, and the writing is just cheesy and simple, and it was not my style. And they use a lot of slang that I don't necessarily like. They use a few slurs that I'm not into. In fact, a lot of their friends start calling them dykes, and I'm not necessarily into people who aren't lesbians using that word. Speaking of lesbians and labels, there is some major internalized biphobia in this book. It's done by all of the secondary characters and not by the main character herself, who's just not into labels, and that is fine if you're not into labels. And there are some internalized queer phobia in general in this book, and it wasn't something that the characters were necessarily doing that the author would then show that, oh, that's not okay. I think that the author, when she wrote this, had some issues of her own. There were a lot of things that were not addressed in this book. I think this is a very useful book. I think that a lot of young people should read it and will find great things in it and will find that they're not alone. But now that I know so much about the community, there are things in here that I don't support. So overall, I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. And then I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. And I did do a full spoiler-free-ish review that I will leave in the description and over here. I'd really love if you guys could check that out. It doesn't spoil anything major, but it does give trigger warnings. It is about a girl whose family owns an island, and all of the drama, I guess you could call, of having a rich family kind of fall apart, and her adventures with her friends, and the mystery surrounding one of her summers that she can't remember at the island, and she's slowly getting her memory back and piecing together what happened to her. And it's just a really beautiful, heart-wrenching book, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read Franny and Zooey by J.D. Salinger. Now, I thought I didn't like Salinger because I hated The Catcher in the Rye, but I really adored this book. This is about the Glass family. The first little story is Franny's, and she is visiting her boyfriend, and she's trying to talk to him about like this really deep, insightful things about religion and life, and he's just not having it. But she's also going through a really difficult time. She ends up having a mental breakdown, which, haha, I can relate to that. And she's my age, she's college age. She ends up not eating and fainting. And then we get into Zooey's story, which is her older brother. And he's around 25. They were both the youngest siblings in the Glass family, and that is a really big part of this story because it talks about how their older siblings kind of taught them things. I wish I could talk about this book forever. There are just so many great things in this book, and I may end up doing a full review / analysis of this once I maybe do another read through. But I think even if you didn't like Catcher in the Rye, I would suggest you give this a go. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I ended up reading in June was the sequel to Unspoken, which was Untold by Sarah Rees Brennan. Once again, I would urge you to go check out my review of the first book if you want to know more of what this series is about. But I didn't like this as much as I liked the first one, and that was for multiple reasons. Number 1, where was the editor? Cammy has 2 younger brothers. Their names kinda sound the same. Their names are 10 and Tomo. And yet, when I knew that 10 was not in the room for a certain spoilery reason, they would still say 10 cuddled up to his dad. No, that's Tomo. 10 isn't in the room. That's just not okay. That's not okay. And then we have Jared. Oh, my lovely puppy dog, tragic Jared. He needs to put down that Shakespeare, stop being all Romeo about Cammy, and get a life. He's just so angsty. Cammy is great. Cammy is amazing. She handles this romance A+. But Jared, I'll do anything for you, whatever you want. Even though I hate you, I still love you and would risk my life for you. Cammy, you're the only person I have ever cared about in my entire life. I don't care about any of these people. They can all die. All I care about is you. I don't care about anything else. Jared, why? But I still gave this book 3.5 stars because it is still this amazing breath of fresh air, even with the angsty male love interest. Because there's 2 whole pages of Cammy just tearing these guys down for being like, oh, those lesbians, they're hot. Oh, I love girls making out. She just tears them apart, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever read in my entire life. And that is all I have for you guys today. And I've been wanting to film my TBR for a week, but I needed to film other things first, and it's just so many videos need to be filmed. So I will see you very, very soon because so many videos need to be thrown at you. Thank you guys so much for letting me throw videos at you. I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye. Hey guys, today I'm going to do a quick review of We Were Liars by E. Lockhart.